Do you have a dark secret you don't want anyone to know? Well, it could be exposed because there's someone inside your house, which is technically true of anybody that doesn't live alone, and is also a Netflix original based on a novel by Stephanie Perkins, directed by Patrick Brice, who directed Creep and Creep 2, Electric Boogaloo, stars Sidney Park, Theodore Pellerin, Asha Cooper, who was in Black as Night, an Amazon original from Blumhouse TV that I did just review a bit ago, Dale Wobley, and Jesse La Tourette, who's from North Bend, Washington. Always great to see Washington State representation in movies. We're great people here, and honestly, there's some terrific actors that have come out of this state, and Jesse did a pretty good job here. This is a 21 Labs / Atomic Monster Productions, not Robot Monster, no Roman from the planet Roman, nobody doing this. If you get that, I fucking love you guys. And this is filmed in Vancouver, British Columbia, but is technically supposed to be set in a small town in Nebraska, which I think outside of Lincoln, I think every town in Nebraska is small, filled with cornfields. I don't know much about Nebraska, so if anybody from Nebraska happens to be watching, all three of you that happen to have internet there, I kid, let me know what's actually in Nebraska, because I just assumed, again, cornfields and Lincoln and the Cornhuskers. That's pretty much it. A lot of corn there in Nebraska. Enough about Nebraska and their cornholes, if you will. Let's talk about this. It's set at a school named Osborne High. No Sharons in this, at least none that were credited in the cast. They've got spirit. Yes, they do. They've got spirit. It's being cut out by somebody that is wearing a copy of the face of the people that they're killing. Why are they doing this? They're trying to expose secrets. It's either, homophobia, racism, or somebody did something fucking terrible that caused somebody to be scarred for goddamn life, literally. So that's pretty much it right there. I mean, obviously I'll get into a spoiler section a little bit later on, but there's, your basic jocks and other people and outspoken people that are getting targeted and their secrets are being exposed in this information superhighway age, with the internet and everything, able to expose what people do. Well, you can't really hide who you are and everything. You gotta be pretty goddamn transparent. Almost translucent, to the point that you are like Claude Rains from The Invisible Man. Enough with the movie references. Let's talk about the fact that this movie actually is pretty much it's like the Fear Street trilogy. Technically this could have almost been a fourth Fear Street movie in this sense. If you've read enough of the Fear Street books, you will probably get you'll get tones and themes of it, because it just seems like the standard, we start with this and then bang, we go to establishing the characters of heroine and her friends and stuff like that. In the case of this, Sidney Park plays Makani, a pretty fleshed out character there, and she's got her friends, Darby, Jesse La Tourette, and also a guy that she's kind of seen in secret, Makani, that is, a guy named Ollie Oxenfree, and he's a little bit creepy and this kind of stuff, and they keep driving to where he could be the killer, so much that he could be the killer. It's practically a goddamn red herring, so if he ended up being the killer, or maybe he is, maybe he isn't, you gotta wait for the spoiler section, it would get to the point where you're almost insulting the audience's intelligence, because often it's just, we're going to come out left field with this. And sometimes when you do that with the movie, when it's a slasher, or, you got to have a killer, you got to have a flesh and blood person, or at least somebody that has kind of unless you're going to do Halloween or Jason or this kind of stuff and go all fanciful, you have to get where you give the proper motivations and stuff. And it sort of works. It's kind of also mixed with a movie called Hellfest, and if you saw this and you like this, you will probably like this movie. This isn't quite as gory as Hellfest. We don't have any Bex Taylor Klaus in this, more in the pity. But we do have a cast of, young people that actually do pretty well. And as far as the deaths, it's kind of comical how people's secrets get exposed. You kind of wonder how all this stuff got in the house and how people must sleep like the goddamn dead here, because they'll suddenly wake up and they'll be like, wait, how are all these pictures here? How's all this stuff going on? What's happening? How did I not notice this killer wearing a copy of my face that's trying to kill me? How did I not notice any of this stuff? I know it's supposed to be in Nebraska, and you have to, basically travel by a goddamn horse carriage to get to the next house. I kid. But houses can't be that far away where you can't be aware, there's somebody outside my house. Oh no, there's someone inside your house. So from there, we have Makani obviously has a secret. Being the heroine, she would have to have a secret. Ollie has his own secrets. Everybody has secrets because we're all human and we all have shit that we don't want people to know. And even when we confide in people, if it's really dark shit, if we're really homophobic, if we're really transphobic, check out that shirt back there, by the way. If you're really racist, maybe you shouldn't be that way, because that shit's going to get exposed. And in the case of a couple of the first, people being killed, that tends to be the case. And then we find out more about Makani and her and Ollie and stuff like that, and we advance more to where we find out who the killer is. We get the typical party scene, and then we get more, now party man, everybody's partying as much as they can. Everybody gets high in this. A lot of people get high. They were going to actually try to advance the plot in a different way, but then they got high, but then they got high, but then they got high. Eventually, it does come to pass who the killer is, and yeah, the motivations are a little bit silly. It sort of makes sense, but it also kind of ties into how this one particular character was as far as his or hers, as far as their motivations and stuff like that. Just what in the world, why would they do something like this? Also, how they do this, I mean, it sort of makes sense, but you're like, why would you waste that much money doing that? And why would you waste that much time doing that stuff? Just expose people's secrets and do all this stuff and everything. And some of it doesn't make sense, but overall, it's fun slasher, and I thought it was actually a whole lot better than I expected. And Netflix has been doing a lot better with these horror movies than recently, and I still need to catch up on some like Prey, which I've heard is shit. No One Gets Out Alive, I'll have a review of that up at some point. Intrusion. And there's other horror movies that are coming out that I'm really excited for, but I was interested to see how this went. And basically, again, it is just Fear Street mixed with Hellfest, so not obviously with the theme park stuff, but just as far as like the killer wearing a certain mask and stuff like that, it kind of made me laugh. There was a comical point at near the end with a car in a cornfield that really just had me just busting out laughing. And then you kind of had to wonder how the final scene took place. And wait, how did this happen? Well, anyway, we find out here in a little bit. I will get into spoilers, but if you have a Netflix account, and really a whole lot of fucking people do, check it out. It's certainly not that bad. I've seen worse. So I'm going to get into spoilers right now. So spoilers. We're getting into spoilers. I'm warning you. 3, 2, 1, spoilers. Okay. So anyway, yeah, a guy that's being targeted in his house, and, well, there's a mysterious egg timer, but he's supposed to be ready for his big game. Well, he oversleeps, and his phone gets taken away, and then there's these pictures all over the house of him hazing and beating up somebody. What the fuck is this? My God, why would he beat the shit out of somebody? Well, it turned out that the person that he beat up, the guy's nose looked like it was almost bitten off, like he was Haku for some reason. We find out that particular person that was getting beat up was gay. And then we move on from that. That guy ends up getting killed. And I did there was this leaked video all over the goddamn football, all over the crowd of the football field, or at the football game rather. They were looking at their phones, since apparently there's just a way to hack the goddamn system, shock the system, and get people's phones just all on the same wavelength. Maybe, I guess they only have one internet provider there in Nebraska. Wouldn't surprise me. Maybe the Korn is doing it. I would love it if Korn decided to be the internet provider, because then there would be dead bodies everywhere. Aha, if you see what I did there. So, that was actually kind of cool, seeing how everybody just stops. This one guy scores a big play and ends looking like, why is everybody? Oh, great, they saw the hazing video, what we did. So, the guy whose name was Macon, by the way, not from Macon, Georgia. I did kind of like how Makani put a card on the memorial, and it was "Get Well Soon," because they were out of the grieving cards. There were some good lines in this. There was also a funny point where this school president, Katie, was giving this speech, this rah-rah speech and everything, this essay stuff, and it turns out actually she is very right-wing and nutty and everything, and talking about left, right, all that stuff and everything, and how, you can't change who you are, signs, all that, and she ends up getting killed in a church, and then ends up, in a house of worship, which was kind of funny. I mean, because she's all dressed up and all this stuff, she's going to have this memorial, and then she gets hung in the town, church, and that was actually kind of cool. It's like, it's for me, it's for you, Damien, it's all for you. And there's this other guy that could be the killer, Dave, the Uber driver, the one Uber driver in Nebraska. I will stop knocking Nebraska, I'm sorry. And Makani has a secret. Her secret is, during a hazing thing, she was drunk and accidentally ended up pushing a girl into the fire. She decided to push her into the fire. And then there's a friend of hers in the inner circle named Ro that's actually pretty, not Ro-Man, good God. I was afraid we were actually going to go to that. He's a trouble guy. He just wants a girlfriend. He wants his parents to stop fighting. And they debate about race and stuff because there's a homophobic, transphobic stuff from the previous 2 killings. And then there's this rich kid named Zachariah, whose dad is trying to get rid of the police and stuff like that and do all this stuff because he's done a whole bunch of real estate deals to get cornfields and all this stuff and get it to where obviously you invest in corn. What else can you do in Nebraska besides, be like Tom Osborne and coach the Cornhuskers? Yes, I know a little bit about college football history, assuming I didn't get that name totally wrong. And then people are being interrogated. Ollie's brother is the sheriff. That should have been the first tipping point that he's not the killer because it would have been too goddamn obvious. One funny line. It's funny how, or actually, one good line. It's funny how at times it's easier to be ourselves around strangers than our own friends. That's a pretty deep line. That's pretty good stuff. That doesn't end up working, as far as like finding out who did all this stuff. Obviously there's race and everything playing into it. Makani had moved from Hawaii and she's trying to adjust to her social circle, but her friends do love her. And they wanted to her and Ollie were just gonna, drive home, but then they got high, and then they got high, and then they fucked. Then boom, they're suddenly at a party. Everybody's just sending out messages. They go to this party. Zachariah says, hey, my dad's really rich and everything. I hate my dad. And look, he's got a collection of Nazi paraphernalia. That's normal. Really normal. And he turns some of this stuff into bongs. Why wouldn't you? What the fuck else you gonna do in Nebraska? I guess even the corn gets high. Again, you're gonna stop knocking Nebraska. So we talk about, everybody talks about their dreams. Darby gets her dream that she's going to be going to NASA to be an astronaut. Haha. There's crushes, poetry. There's a pretend gun cock, except it's a bong because everything's a goddamn bong in this goddamn movie. And then everybody does a party thing. It's all hilarious, absolutely hilarious, I guess. It's a weird montage. The music is not my particular cup of tea. I didn't really care for a lot of it. It's not that people don't have talent. I didn't care for the style. So Ro kind of pops, some fentanyl, which is not a good thing to pop. Don't do drugs, kids. In all seriousness, if you're dealing with that stuff, find me on Twitter. Message me. Don't do it. Don't do it. Seek help also. There's help out there. So the school was closed till October after Ro got killed. And then it was open back open because budget cuts could not, be negated by all the throats being cut. And they are back, and they think it's Ollie because Raj Cooper's character, Alex, thinks that it is Ollie. I had to look up her character because I totally forgot, because some of these names are a little bit indistinct. And then Makani's the only one that knows it's not Ollie. I mean, even though she starts to suspect him, they go for a bit of a drive, and she recites some of her poetry. Let it be forgotten as a flower is forgotten, forgotten as a fire that once was singing gold. Let it be forgotten forever and ever. And time is a kind friend. It's like she'll make us old. There's some good stuff here. Like, that didn't particularly make any sense now that I said it. She thinks it's Ollie because she found a taser in there and his brother's a sheriff. But then we get a background check and everything because he wanted to find out about her, and it turns out actually that she was that she did do the whole thing, pushing into the fire. So Dave picks her up, seemingly his car must teleport. Either that or you can get anywhere in Nebraska in about 5 minutes. And Makani's all alone, or is she? Because her grandma that she lives with went off to a sleep clinic study. Convenient. And then there's all this stuff, all these pictures and everything, all these burn photos all over her house. Somehow. I do not understand how people sleep through this goddamn shit, and it's ridiculous. She gets tased, looks like she's going to get doused or burned with lighter fluid, and then her secret is out. And her friends hear her out and say, look, that's not the person that we knew and everything, and obviously what you did, you didn't mean to. We love you for for who you are. You've always taken care of us. Darby says, you've inspired me. All this. Moving stuff. Typical? Sure. But fun. And she, Ollie was arrested, but it wasn't him. Like Shaggy. It wasn't me. And then we get we smash cut to a corn maze where there's private security. Gee, I wonder who the killer is. Zachariah, by the way. It's Zachariah. And Ollie got released. Makani runs into the school that was seemingly unlocked because nobody can afford keys in this goddamn town, whatever this town is. Here's Caleb. He gets stabbed immediately. But who stabbed him? The killer puts the knife in Makani's hand and says, "See ya." And then she's all freaked out. But the friends are like, "Wait a second. You obviously didn't stab him. Let's take off." Because Ollie's trying to save him. Caleb's going to be okay. They somehow find that out as they were driving there. And they said Zach's dad is trying to get rid of the cops and everything. And they find out that it's Zachariah. Big fucking shock. It's Zachariah. They do drive through a cornfield to get set on fire in their car. Hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. And they manage to get in there where Zachariah is just about to kill his dad, and they interrupt him, and he can't say the one funny line, the one great line that he wanted to say, and then he tries to kill them. He stabs Ollie pretty mortally. Makani ends up killing him, and then somehow, despite the fact they're surrounded by fire, not even a ring of fire, Johnny Cash ain't involved, they somehow manage to get out. And montage of them all getting to live their dreams and scene. It sounds like I'm down on this movie, and I'm really not. I actually was very entertained, and I did enjoy it, and it was what it was. It was simple at the end, but there was some crisp writing and some pretty good acting, for a slasher. So I enjoyed it. I thought it was fine. I'm going to give it a B. I encourage you guys to check this out. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Retlin. I'll see you soon.